Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. My name is Joe, that is Jay, and this is the transfer tier list. We are rating every single one of Manchester United's 75 transfers that have taken place under the ownership of the Glazer family. Arguably the most tainted and stained period in Manchester United's recent history. Speaking of tainted and stained, you're looking very well today, Jay.
This is yours, isn't it, actually? But
you gave the Ashes spirit.
I thought I'd get in the Ashes spirit because, I'm not a big cricket fan, but I'm hoping that England get the goals in extra time to defeat the Germans.
That's how it works.
That's what we all want to see. So
the old enemy.
The old enemy. So this is yours, but it fits like a glove.
It does.
Yeah.
Or like a hat.
Yes.
So we're going to do this in chronological order.
Chronological order? Hello?
We're going to do this in chronological order, Jay.
And I'll be honest,
the reason that I've had a liquid lunch is because we've got no time to waste. There's so many players, and we have got 5 categories. So we've got club legend, success, average signing, mistake, and disaster. You can see them on the screen there. And we are going to place all of these signings into one of those categories, and then we're going to have a little look at the end at whether the transfers in the Glazer era, I think we can maybe guess which way this is going to go, have been successful on the whole or not.
The bottom 3 categories are the nicknames for my children.
Average, mistake, and disaster. Even success is sort of a painfully biological, isn't it? You were a success of sort of male and female engineering. Right, let's start as we mean to go on.
Yeah.
Patrice Evra.
Legend.
Yeah. It's nice to be able to start with that, isn't it?
I think
Evra goes in the
this little
slot.
chunk of transfers you're about to go through, I think all bar one are in contention to be legends.
Speaking of an all bar one, that's where I have my lunch.
Nice.
Ben Foster.
He's the one that isn't.
Yes.
I wouldn't say it's a disaster, it just wasn't good enough.
So average?
Average, yeah.
Or mistake?
Mistake, he didn't live up to expectations.
That's true. Park Ji-sung.
I struggle with this because there's part of me that feels like he is almost legendary, but he's been overstated.
It's
I know John Shin.
Status, isn't it?
John Shin did a very, very funny video when I said sometimes people overrate Ji-sung Park because they've gone the other way, where he was underrated and now people say he's one of our greatest ever players when he isn't.
No.
He's a very good player who did a very good job for Manchester United, so I would say success.
I think he is your sort of belt and braces, perfect, quintessential success.
Yeah.
He's not a legend, is he?
No, not for me.
A crucial player
disrespect
at certain times, but he wasn't even first name on the team sheet.
No, he didn't make the squad in 2008, did he, for the final?
Yeah. However, very good, very good.
Love him.
Player.
Love Ji-sung Park.
The next one for me is someone that straddles that line between success and legend. Edwin van der Sar, signed at 34 or 35 years old.
I think he was 35.
From Fulham. Certainly I would say top 2 or 3 Manchester United goalkeepers of all time.
I've ever seen, to be honest with you.
Where are you putting him?
Legend.
Legend?
Yeah,
I would agree.
The fact that he signed when he was 35. The man won it all.
Yeah.
And he is, right? I know people think I've got this thing about Peter Schmeichel and all the rest of it. He's the best goalkeeper I've ever seen for Manchester United. He is. He made it look easy.
Yeah.
That's what he's like. Rio didn't dive in for last tackles because his timing was so good and he was so quick and he read the game so well. Or Michael Carrick, your favourite, didn't.
Yeah.
Van der Sar was like that. He knew where the ball was going to be. You very rarely saw him scrambling, or he just was positioned perfectly.
And he was one of the best I've ever seen as well. When a ball's coming in, why take one step and dive for it when you can take 2 steps and catch it?
He was like the opposite of
amazing at
Joe
that.
Hart, who likes all, he was the lad at Arsenal, Aaron Ramsdale.
Yeah.
Look at me, how wonderful I'm making, these spectacular saves that are straight at me.
Yeah.
He just made it look effortless.
Yeah, he
Legend
did.
for me.
Nemanja Vidic, another one. Again, I think he's right on that border between success and legend. For me, I would go with legend.
I'll be honest
Club
with
captain.
you. I'm a bitter man, and I love Nemanja Vidic. It did leave a bit of a sour taste in my mouth the way he left.
Yeah.
It was like a mutual decision. It wasn't. He decided he'd had enough.
Yeah.
And okay, I understand it, but he's still a legend.
Yeah.
I think he's a legend as well because he's the guy that is put up against other defenders, isn't he? I know it's for me, it's Stam and Rio who are the best 2 defenders, but because of his stats and everything, people are comparing to Van Dijk, comparing to everyone else. It's always Nemanja in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's probably got in there, even though tainted himself a little bit in the manner of his departure.
Again, like you said, we're in this phenomenal run at the moment. Next one, Michael Carrick. Again, for me, club legend.
Legend, easily.
Easily, yeah.
The worst thing about England over the past 20 years is the lack of caps Michael Carrick got. An absolute joke.
Was it like 38 or 40?
Honestly, it's just mind-boggling.
Like if he was Spanish, it would be 130.
It would.
He'd be a Busquets or a Ramos.
First name on the team sheet. We'll build a team around him. That's that sorted. And it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was just ridiculous.
Yeah, he was not quite the same, but more in that mold. Players who are now appreciated, like a Rodri type of player. Not really, he's not quite the same, but someone who is an absolute metronome on the ball, tackling. You know, he would get stuck in, but wasn't a big, heavy tackler.
No.
But just positionally, same with Van der Sar, the reading of the game, the timing, the ability to pick the pass, not just the quality to make it, but when to play it, as good as I've ever seen.
I love you talking about Michael Carrick. You, my mate Jay. Not me, obviously, another Jay. He loves Michael Carrick. He's obsessed with him. You're like that. I love it, though, because I can't fault it, because he was just an absolute gem.
Yeah, amazing player. Only had him for 8 weeks, was it? Henrik Larsson?
We interviewed him on Full Time Devils in Sweden, I think, went over there and interviewed him. Mackie did a really good interview with him. Had to apply for his medal. Success. Came in, did the job he was paid to do.
Yeah.
And also got everyone going. Everyone was really impressed with his work ethic, his attitude. Again, he was about 35, I think. Yeah. Just smashed it. Great signing.
Right, next up then, we have got Fabio De Silva.
Like Fabio, played in the Champions League final in 2011, in memory serves, injury ravaged.
Yeah.
So,
average.
Average. I mean, I think even that's been slightly generous.
Yeah, but the problem is, because he came as a sort of buy one, get one half price with his brother.
I love, the fact is, if we had to get Fabio to get Raphael, it was worth it, because I love Raphael De Silva.
I think it was the opposite. I think Fabio was the one we wanted, and we had to sort of take Raphael
I think
as
you're
well
right.
as.
I think, you know what, I think, I'm not trying to be that guy, I think Raphael might have even told us that when me and Macca interviewed him.
Exactly. So I think Fabio, you have to say it wasn't a mistake, because for me, Raphael, again, I think he's on the cusp of average and success.
I'll go success.
Do you think?
I think he's a cult hero for me, Raphael De Silva.
Yeah.
I think that injuries did for him. They did for both of them. But I will not have him as average.
Okay.
For me, get involved in the comments and the chat. Let us know if you disagree. I'm going to go success. And also, he's one of those players where even if he wasn't having the greatest games, he'd smash someone.
Yeah, he was a good player to have.
Going, come on.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I love all that, mate.
And yeah, I think for me, it's 1 foot in each camp. But if you're going success, that tips us over. Next up, Owen Hargreaves.
Can I shock you?
Go on.
Success.
I think success.
Oh, I'm so glad. Nudge me there.
He was crucial in us winning a Champions League and a Premier League double.
It makes me laugh when people try and argue the toss. Like, if someone said to you now, if you spend 40 million, because that's sort of the equivalent of what we spent on him or whatever, or 50 million, and you're going to win the Champions League and the Premier League, but that's it. That's all that player's going to do. Yeah. Would you spend it? Of course you would. We spent 1.4 billion to not win those trophies post-Fergie. A success. One of the best seasons anyone's ever had for Manchester United Football Club.
It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. That year. Let's put him in success. Anderson.
Also, by the way, I just what I had. I was fuming when he went to City, Owen Hargreaves, but anyway, Anderson.
To me, it's between average and mistake, if I'm honest.
I'll go average. Can I nudge you to average?
Yeah, you can nudge me to average.
Because I just feel that the amount of trophies he won, Moscow, his first touch was a penalty, Joe.
I get that, and I love that. And obviously, that is fantastic. But like, some people would call Hargreaves average, and he was crucial in that season.
Yeah.
He actually played. He started the Champions League final. Like he
played a lot of games.
Anderson
very good against Barca.
Wasn't crucial in any of the trophies that he won. Do you know what I mean?
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
How many players? Right.
10. No, 11 at the start of the game. 10 if someone gets sent off.
Thank you. I've always wondered that.
Yeah.
How many players have you ever seen sat at the side of the pitch getting oxygen?
Yeah,
because they're just knackered.
They didn't have a broken leg.
No, they didn't. They didn't hurt themselves. They were just so unfit. When we sold him, that was the levels of his fitness. Yeah. I think that's legendary.
Yeah, that's what
I go with success because he won. Was it 4 titles, or whatever?
Yeah.
And a Champions League. Yes, he flattered to deceive. I think he was a Golden Boy winner, wasn't he?
Yeah.
When we got him, but played his part in some trophy wins. So I'm going to go success. Just about. Oh no, sorry, average. Sorry, not success. Average. Sorry.
This is another one. Carlos Tevez. I think he had one brilliant season, one okay season.
I disagree slightly.
Go on.
I think his okay season was better than that because at the end of the season he had
he went a bit Sheringham, didn't he?
Goals. Goal against Wigan, I think it was essential.
Yeah.
The way he left and what went on there annoyed me. But I also think he should have known better going to City, yes. Well, the club should have paid him what he wanted. I don't think it was extortionate, the wages he wanted, and it was a massive mistake to let him go.
So we're saying success?
I'd say success.
Yeah, me too.
First penalty in the Champions League final. People forget that.
And he started the final. He was crucial that season when we won the double.
I still think Fergie dropped one, not starting him in Rome.
Yeah.
I didn't get that decision,
no, I didn't.
to be honest with you.
Lewis Nani, who I didn't realise his first name was Lewis until about 3 years ago.
I used to know. It's Lewis Almeida da Cunha in it. I think. I might be getting that a bit wrong way.
All we know is that he's called the nanny.
His highlights reel makes him look like the greatest player that's ever put on a pair of football boots.
Yeah, he's almost got like a sort of circus acrobat. I know, obviously, not just the flips, but like the way he sort of glides and floats and bounces. He's very athletic, isn't he? Like,
of all the players,
he's got a real spring to him.
I've seen play for Manchester United, other than maybe David De Gea.
Yeah,
I've not seen a player who when he has a shocker, can have such a bad game, and when he has a good one, can have such a good one.
He can genuinely have games that are like fucking Rivellino levels of football.
You think this guy is the best player I've ever seen, and then they'll have games where you think he's won a competition to play for Manchester United.
Yeah,
he's shocking.
Yeah.
So, despite all that, I'd go success.
Yeah, me too. I think he's very good, and I think he got something like 30 assists in his first.
He won Player of the Year in
2011,
was it? Something like that.
And he wasn't that expensive. I think it was like 15 million. Dimitar Berbatov, 30 million. I think at the time, a club record fee, wasn't it?
Something
31
like
million.
This is more difficult. I don't really think he quite lived up to expectations, but I think he did enough to be a success.
I would agree. I think it's a success.
I think there's a little bit where you wanted a bit more from him.
Yeah.
But Golden Boot one season.
Yeah. Hat-trick against the Scouts.
Hat-trick against Scouts was one of my favourite ever games.
Yeah.
Success.
Yeah. Gabriel Obertan.
Disaster. Just failed.
Yeah,
whatever metric you want to use for success. And me and Ethan would talk about this because he supports Newcastle and Gabriel Obertan ended up there. And Obertan was a weird one because I used to go to like the under-23s and games like that, and he used to play in the resis, and he was too good for the reserves, but not good enough for the first team. In the reserves, he looked like the best player on the pitch. Well, he was the best player on the pitch, and you put him in the first team, and he'd be pretty poor. He had a couple of good games pre-season, but a disaster really.
Interesting one now, Michael Owen.
Very good question. Not very good for us.
Yeah,
I would go.
I think I'd go average. I don't think it was a mistake. He won a Premier League. He started a few cup games. He scored a few goals. His goal scoring record wasn't that bad. I think it was 1 in 3, 1 in 4, which isn't great, but it's not like Forlan levels of no goals in 30 or whatever.
I'll let you decide. Can I make the case for mistake?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was a mistake in the sense that I think part of Fergie's reasoning was don't worry about Tevez, is we're going to get Owen in. I think Fergie overrated Michael Owen. He thought, because he loved him when he was a youngster and he's such a good player and he's got his goals, I think he still felt he could get some out of him. He went missing or got injured in such vital parts of the season. I remember, was it away at Blackburn, we needed a win to win the title and he just didn't happen. Or he was injured, he was injured for that game. We needed him. He got injured in the Carling Cup final as it was then. Missed a lot of games. And also, it kind of annoys me we gave him a title. He's an absolute muppet.
He is, but that's not...
And that annoys me.
But that's not his time at United, is it? Like, I think it's
I
not...
think like
it's not
was
Michael
a mistake to give him that.
But it's not Michael Owen's fault that we didn't get someone better.
Do you know what? The only sort of saving...
No,
it's not. But looking at it, should we have got him? Or should we have gone all out for Benzema?
We should have got someone else.
Or tried to keep Tevez? Or
done something. Got Benzema.
Yeah, something like that. I'll let you decide. For me, I think getting Michael Owen was a mistake.
I think not getting someone else was a mistake.
Right.
But I think we got for me, we got what I thought we'd get out of Michael Owen, which is why I think it's average. But I'm willing to default to you because I know a lot of people will call that a mistake. But I think he did pretty much what I expected him to do.
Get involved in the comments in the chat. Me and Joel are 50-50. We'll put it wherever you want, producer Ethan.
Yeah.
But that's one that's up for debate. It's the first one we haven't really come to a consensus on. Let us know. Michael Owen, yes, there was the 4-3. But the 4-3 is a little bit tainted for me because we didn't win the title that season.
I know, but
but you know what I mean?
Fault.
Yeah, I know. It's just whenever it goes on about that, I always think, well, it didn't lead to anything.
No.
Even though it was an amazing moment. So, yeah, let us know what you think.
I put it down as a mistake. I'll default to you because you started with that wonderful hat. Antonio Valencia, I think this is absolutely easy as pie success in it. Yeah. He's not a legend, but he was above average.
Yeah, definitely.
Bebe.
Disaster. I know it's a successor. Disaster.
And he's still... maybe somewhat unfairly because he has actually gone on to have a top flight career in Spain, but he's still touted and quoted as one of the great disasters, isn't he? By other teams' fans.
A lesser man, a more suspicious man, a more cynical man may look into that transfer and think something was going on.
Something was awry. Disaster. Chris Smalling. Average, innit?
Average, yeah. Just about for me.
What? Arguably mistake?
I think, again... probably I wanted a little bit more. When I first saw Smalling, I thought it was mint, and he never kicked on. it's like his best seasons. I know that might be the Fergie factor, or Rio and Vidic and things like that. But you thought this could be a defender who goes on to play 500 games for United and captains England, or not captains England, but plays every week for every game for England, and it never quite happened for him. So I'd go. What did you say? Average. Average is fine. Yeah.
Chicharito Hernandez.
I'd say success.
Yeah, I think success.
Shone quite brightly, just not long enough, but still a success for me.
Yeah. David De Gea. This is one where people will argue between success and legend.
I'm going to go success.
I think success as well.
I just feel that you can't, if you've been at the club for 12 years and for me, 5 of those years haven't been great and another 5 have been amazing, that isn't legend for me.
No.
Brian Robson didn't stop playing really well in 1986.
No. Paul Scholes didn't have 5 not great years, 2 poor years, and 1 year where everyone was calling him a failure.
Yeah, I love David De Gea, and I think he's been a bit harshly treated by certain sections of the fan base and by the club itself, but I just don't quite think he's there in a legend. I know he's got records of clean sheets and appearances of goalkeepers and all this other stuff, but I'd put him in success.
Yeah, me too. Phil Jones.
I think mistake.
Yeah.
He just about gets off the disaster thing because he has won an FA Cup, a League Cup, a title, and a Europa League, I think. Yeah. I don't know if he's won a League Cup, actually. He might not have featured in the squad for that one. But he's won some trophies, played a lot of games for Manchester United, played a lot of good games for Manchester United, but the last 3 years have been terrible. Yeah. So I would just go mistake.
Phil Jones. Not Phil Jones, sorry. Ashley Young. I think success.
Players that do what it says on the tin. And also with this kid, right? I know Steve hates him, right? He just or thinks he was not good enough or whatever, and I don't want to get into all that again. But this is a guy that was a winger when we got him, played some games, won us was part of the team that won the title, and then went to left back for about 3 years. Yeah. And even I know this isn't related to this, but ended up going to the World Cup as England's left back at a time when we had Luke Shaw in the squad.
I think it was a successful. I think only just. I think it to me it looks harsh to have Ashley Young and David De Gea in the same category, but it's to be clear, De Gea is knocking on the legend door, but not quite getting in.
Yeah.
And for me, Ashley Young is barely above average.
It's like when you got 2 kids in the same year at school and one of them's born in August and the other one's in May or whatever. But they qualify.
De Gea was born September the 1st and Ashley Young was born August the 31st.
Right.
But they end up in both in the same category. Right. Maybe slightly unfairly visually, but we've explained it. Shinji Kagawa, this is, again, classic mistake, isn't it?
Mistake. Good player. Got that hat-trick against Norwich, I think it was. Was it?
Yeah, it was.
I remember when I was over in the World Cup in 2010, bumping into Dortmund fans who were absolutely, not 2020, 2014, sorry, raving about him. Couldn't get over him. Jurgen Klopp said he cried, didn't he, when he left or something?
Pathetic.
Nothing wrong with crying. But no, I think Kagawa, you could see what he was about. He just didn't really.
I think there is something wrong with crying because you've sold a player that you chose to sell.
Yeah.
I think there's something wrong.
No, you're right.
Nothing wrong with crying.
No,
that isn't.
That's like acknowledging the crowd. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging the crowd. Acknowledging the crowd because you've drawn at home to West Bromwich Albion.
Yeah.
That is pathetic.
Yeah. Alexander Butner.
Disaster.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Disaster.
The only thing that I like about Alexander Butner, or give him saving grace for,
it's got the word "but" in his name.
There's that. Also, his little sort of mosaic, his mural, whatever it is in his house of him and Fergie. But do you know what? I went to his press conference when we unveiled him. Yeah. Other than David Moyes, I've never been at a United press conference and seen someone who's got the look of "what am I doing here" in his face. He looked like a rabbit in headlights. He was like,
just stunned by
how am I here?
Yeah,
it was baffling.
Quite the opposite of "how am I here." In fact, folks, I'm here. Robin van Persie.
This is a tough one, this.
Yeah.
Because it's one big season, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a title-winning season. It's been as an important part of that winning season as anyone, if not more important than anyone. Is that legendary status?
To me, it's not.
Would you, if you were to meet him, would you think, this is a United legend?
I might say it if I met him because I was overawed by seeing
I say
him.
that all the time.
Yeah.
I interview anyone, I call them a United legend.
Yeah, even if it's just someone who works at Primark.
Even if it's just Macca.
Yeah. But to me, we've said this before, legendary status comes from a combination of excellence and longevity and consistency. He had excellence and consistency, but there's just no longevity there. He was world class for one season, pretty average for another season, and that was it. Like, you can't be a United legend after... How long was he actually here for? 2 years or 3 years?
I think he was here for 3. I think the third one is when he left halfway through the third row.
That, you can't be a United legend in basically one season.
Okay, let's say success then. I can go with that.
But it was.
I do think the bar should be quite high for United legends as well.
It was a legendary season.
We're not Arsenal. We're a club that's got lots and lots of legends.
Yeah, exactly.
Or lots and lots of very good players, I should say. So you can't just go, everyone's a legend. That's not how it works.
Wilfried Zaha, disaster.
He couldn't have gone any worse.
No.
It's not his fault, but it just didn't happen for him.
No. Now we are entering the post-Sir Alex era. This is where we've seen those 4 legends at the top. We probably ain't adding any more to that.
We are missing certain players, aren't we? Are we missing out a couple of players?
Such as?
Isn't the kid Angelo Enriquez, was it?
I think some players who didn't get a significant number
Right,
of
I just wanted to explain that, sorry.
Yeah.
I just flagged up there because I remember thinking he was one of the first signings post-Fergie.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Some players who never really got to the first team squad.
So Jack Butland, for example.
Jack Butland won't be there.
So if anyone's flagging up going, hang on a minute, there's a reason there. If they've not even barely made the bench ever, or never kicked a ball or played for United, we're not life's too short.
There's no Lee Grant, there's no Jack
we don't
Butland.
have to sit here discussing whether Lee Grant is a United legend or not.
Yeah, it's almost an irrelevancy to the conversation.
Sorry, brother, go on.
Fellaini.
Right. I am... If this wasn't on camera, I'd be tempted to go full steam ahead, legend. Barcelona. I like the kid.
I'm going to say average.
I'm saying success.
That's too much.
No,
that's too much. Fellaini and De Gea cannot be in the same category.
I hear
Fellaini and Van Persie cannot be in the same category.
I hear it, and I know I'm going to lose this argument.
Yeah.
Can I just make my case and then you can decide?
Absolutely.
Right. I know he was very ungainly, shall we say.
Yeah.
Scored some important goals, last-minute goals.
Yeah.
Arsenal, young boys, Rostov. He's the man getting his head on things in the last minute, yeah? Won trophies and played a part in them trophies. Played in 3 finals, I think, for Manchester United and won all 3 of them. So he kind of did what we were hoping he'd do. Yeah. And also, we bought him as his number 10 from Everton and played him as a DM. And let's not forget the 4-2 against City. He absolutely pocketed Yaya Toure.
Yeah.
But I get it.
He's had some good games for United. I think he became a scapegoat. He became,
to make my case,
somewhat unfairly, a kind of a stick to beat a sequence of United managers and a general era of Manchester United post-Fergie.
Go on, beat me with a big stick.
But to say that he is as crucial and at the same level to Man United as Hernandez, as Nani, as Berbatov, as De Gea, as Van Persie, as former captain Ashley Young, that is
what you've done there is
you've
done. I always forget this. You've looked ahead of the game.
Yeah.
And you've looked at it visually, the optics of it.
Yeah.
The fact we're on YouTube.
Yeah.
The fact we're on social media.
Yeah.
The clipping upness of this.
Imagine you telling a United fan that Fellaini and Park Ji-sung occupy the same place in your heart.
Yeah.
We
know, use that school analogy.
Yeah.
Like where you can have a kid who's born in May and one who's born in September or whatever, and they might be 9 months apart, but they're in the same year.
11 months apart.
11 months apart, but in the same year. He's like the kid who was 3 years above him, but got put down for fighting and just eating crayons or whatever.
Yeah.
That's how he's got in it by default. That was my argument.
To me, Smalling, Anderson, Fabio, Fellaini, that works for me.
I do feel though.
I'm gonna have to
can I just say though? I do feel he's a better one of them lot.
Yeah.
I do feel he's unfairly treated because he actually did. A lot of as well is he did what you kind of hoped he'd do, expected him to do. Sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hear you though, bro.
Here's going to be a controversial one. Juan Mata. To me,
success. Second best signing post Fergie.
Do you think?
Yeah.
No. I think average.
Behind Bruno.
I think average personally.
Really?
I don't.
I mean, people before people go Casemiro and Varane.
We don't know yet.
We don't know yet. I think Mata was mint.
The problem with Mata is, I know he had obviously one field, but again, I don't feel like he. Maybe I suppose the FA Cup he was very good, but I feel like there was always a player driving us toward the trophies that he won more than him. Like Pogba was a bigger influence in the Europa League run. I think Rooney was a bigger influence, and Martial were bigger influences in the FA Cup run. I feel like the last 3 years of Mata was he basically didn't play. He hardly played. He was forced out onto the right wing. Never really got he's taking this sort of dragging this team in any direction really. He's so lovable, so likable, but I don't I don't think we got a successful signing out of him.
I just
it was
feel
a club record transfer as well.
I just feel we badly misused him. I think he come in January when we were already 7th or whatever. That was the wheels were coming off under David Moyes. I think he actually scored a lot of goals towards the end of that season as well. He weighed in. Then Van Gaal came in. Again, we had some moments with him, like you say, the FA Cup win. Don't forget, he scored in the FA Cup final, didn't he? Am I misremembering?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. At Wanfield, of course, phenomenal performance by both the team and him individually. And yes, it does matter to me.
Yeah.
I always felt like he turned up when Jose came in. It was like Jose didn't like him, but played him anyway because he played so well. Even in a system that didn't suit him, because you had all these sort of quick attackers, powerful attackers. I know they were very skillful as well. I'm not doing that whole thing of just labelling players based on the physicality. But he somehow managed to make it work in that system.
Yeah.
And I do think we failed him rather than he failed us.
Okay, you know
that's
what?
my point.
I'm willing to accept that.
And
I'll go with
listen,
success.
I don't care how much money you give to charity and all that. That's got nothing to do with your ability to play for Manchester United Football Club.
Yeah.
I just think Juan Mata was a good signing for Manchester United at a time when we didn't make any good signings.
Yeah,
barely any.
I can take that, and again, it's no knock on him. I think he's.
I understand your point though, because I feel there's a little touch of the little Juan Mata,
and also like how people sort of baby people like Kante and Mata. I think the thing with Mata is I expected a bit more.
Okay, I think that's reasonable, but I think it wasn't his failings.
Yeah.
I think he was thrown into a team that was constantly changing in a way that didn't suit him.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's my argument.
Ander Herrera. Average.
I'd say success.
Do you think?
5 years, give us a good account of himself during those 5 years, and then moved on. I find some of the sort of sycophancy towards him a little bit baffling at times. Okay. He was a very good player for us, wasn't a legend, and left when PSG offered him some more cash.
Daley Blind.
Just didn't quite work out.
No.
Was a great player on his day. Probably not built for the Premier League. I'd say. Mistake sounds hard because I don't. I'd
say average.
Yeah, average. Yeah, good.
Di Maria.
Oh, disaster.
Do you think?
100%.
More
100%.
Yeah.
There's 3 players in my head that I think straight away disaster, and he's one of them.
Okay, let's pop him in there then. The only reason I was erring on the side of mistake, obviously not any higher than that, was we got most of the money back for him. I think he got like 10 assists. Like it wasn't a 2 goals, 1 assist season.
He did that thing, bro, of like.
He smashed it at the start.
Yeah. No, first couple of months, he was mint. And again, to a lesser degree, it wasn't his fault because Van Gaal didn't know what to do with him. Was playing him off the striker.
Yeah.
Also, his house got burgled, and people go, "What's that got to do with anything?" If my house got burgled, I won't be sat in front of a camera laughing and joking. It stresses you out because you've got a family and that. So I get that he mentally wasn't great, but he was terrible.
Yeah. Luke Shaw. Success.
Yeah. Just about, by the way, because we've had some seasons where he's not turned up, but lately he's been mint. Yeah. And also he's had other seasons where he's been mint.
Talking about disasters, Falcao.
So sad, isn't it?
It's got to be a disaster, though, hasn't it?
No, 100% agree.
Marcus Rojo. Mistake? Yeah. Just never really did it, did he? He wasn't terrible. He stuck around for a few years, but just was a sort of non-entity, really. Schneiderlin. I think that's borderline disaster,
100% disaster.
Yeah.
I defended that man more than anyone has defended any player in human history. Right? I was constantly on Twitter defending him, and he let me down. Yeah. He just wasn't good enough. He wasn't the player you thought he was at Southampton.
No. Popped him in the disaster column there. Sergio Romero.
Average.
Do you think?
Won us the Europa League.
I think for a number 2,
me and you,
that's a
before
success.
We were best friends, did a debate during lockdown, didn't we?
Yeah.
And you said he was the best number 2 ever or something.
Yeah. I think you could argue in terms of doing his job, he's the greatest footballer of all time. Because he came in and won us the trophy, the only trophy he played in, we won. What more could he have done? I think he has to be success. Because an average backup is not even on the list. Yeah. Butland isn't on this. The fact that I think is the only keeper on this list, other than first team players like De Gea and Van der Sar. He's the only number 2. I
remember.
Because he was perfect at it. He's not a legend, but I think it would be unfair not to say his time wasn't successful.
I might be misremembering this, and get involved in the comments in the chat. There was a game, I think it might have been Colchester or something, and I remember that it's a physical team, they're a lower league team. Yeah. I think it was the game that he started. I remember being relieved it was him in goal.
Yeah.
Not because he's better than David Table, because I thought this is a game that suits him better. I'm pretty sure it was Colchester. I can double check that when United played Colchester. But yeah,
can we go success?
Yeah, fine. Yeah, that's all right. That's fine.
For what he did.
Yeah, he was never coming in to be number 1.
He was brought in as a 2. He played as a 2. We won the Europa League for the first time like, and only time still, like, that's a successful number 2. You know, he's not compared to De Gea, but I think his job is
also
a success.
at a time when De Gea was probably the best goalkeeper in the world.
Yeah.
So it's not like if he come in now and not barely played for us, you go, what's going on there?
Yeah.
But this was at a time when David De Gea was at his peak.
Yes. Bastian Schweinsteiger, again, cut and dry mistake for me.
Can I just say one thing?
Go on.
And I am that guy. The one thing, and I will die on this hill, Joseph.
I know.
His performance against the Scousers in Anthony Martial's debut is one of those forgotten about performances.
Yeah.
He absolutely dominated that game.
Yeah.
It was a Roy Keane-esque performance, and no one ever talks about it, and I'll never understand why, because it was genuinely one of the best performances I've seen post-Fergie. It was amazing. But other than that, he was terrible.
Yeah, mistake. Pop him in the mistakes column. Matteo Darmian, mistake?
Yeah.
Just the same as Rojo, really, wasn't it?
It was a sad state of affairs, wasn't it, this summer, not this summer, end of last season, when we were relying on Darmian and Mkhitaryan and Lukaku to get us out of jail.
Interesting one now, Anthony Martial. Oh. Depending on what year we've done this, if you'd done it in the first 3 years, it would be success, comfortably. But now, another 3 years on, 6 or 7 seasons he's been at United, it's, I think, average at best. When you think about we spent 45 million quid on him, which was a lot of money then, 7 years ago. He's had one season where he scored 20 or more goals. I think it's one. Yeah, he's had under Ole. The last 3 seasons put together has been under 20 goals. I think in terms of the league goals, it's like 4-6 or something. Like,
he gets, for me, he gets away from being a mistake because there's enough there where I look at, the debut against Liverpool, the goals against City, the goal against Everton in the FA Cup semi-final, one of my favourite moments, certainly post-Fergie. Like you say, getting 20 odd goals in a season. I think he's just about average.
I think he's average.
If we have another season, if he used to stay at this club and have another season like the one he's just had, he'd probably be in the mistake category. Yeah. Because that's part of the problem. I think it's probably time for him to move on now, but I think average. Yeah. And also, he was nice to us when we met him.
Yeah. Right, so there he is in average there. Next up then, another player who was probably rated, maybe not quite as highly, but certainly highly, was Memphis Depay. Mistake? Classic, innit? It's not a disaster, but it was a mistake.
Another one who falls into the Di Maria category, absolutely smashed it in his first couple of months, fell off a cliff and just lost all his confidence. And that was a sort of, you've got a really good take on Memphis Depay. I don't ever think he's got to levels he should have done. No. I think he's one of the most overrated players around. Like, people go, he scored 18 goals at Barca in a season or whatever it was, and look at what he did at Lyon and all that. He's done all right. Yeah. But when, you see like Holland and they're relying on him, you think, no.
No chance.
Like, he's not that guy.
He's not going to drive you to a trophy.
Nah, man.
And he's an interesting player. He's one of those where, because he's sort of tricky and like he likes to do a skill, you think he's nimble, but he's actually quite bulky and heavy and slow.
I do, and I hate doing this, and I especially hate doing it on black and mixed race players where you sort of question their application attitude because it's a lazy sort of trope that people throw at him. Yeah. Especially, but I think with Memphis Depay, when you look at him doing his Instagram videos, when you look at maybe sometimes physically he doesn't look great. When you look at the sort of the application towards his craft, has he kicked on? And is that because he's just maybe too relaxed or he isn't focused enough? I know he's obviously had to a lot of focus to get to the levels he's got to, but you just feel like he's not quite kicked on the way he could have done.
Definitely. So I'm going to go mistake there. Right, next up then, here's a big one. Paul Pogba.
Paul Labille Pogba.
I think average.
I don't think you can put him in success because of the expectation, the quality as well that he had. Yeah. For him to only win 2 trophies at the club wasn't good enough. There's a touch of the one matters about him that you can say maybe the team wasn't great for him at times, but there's also a touch of his injury record and some of his performances in bigger games weren't good enough.
I think you could make the argument for mistake that it was a bit of a waste of money.
Yeah,
he didn't live up to the expectations at all. But again, you look at who is in that category. Memphis was completely inconsequential at United. Like, Schweinsteiger was just a bad signing. Like, Kagawa didn't really do anything. Phil Jones has become a figure of fun. I think it's harsh to put Pogba in that category. But then, he really didn't do what we thought he was going to do.
Yeah, get involved in the comments in the chat 'cause it's a hot topic. This. Don't forget as well to subscribe to the channel. We're going average. Do you think he was a success? Do you think he was a disaster or a mistake? Do you even think he's a legend? I've heard that case being made on certain social media platforms. Let us know what you think. Go on, my brother.
Eric Bailly, mistake.
Yeah. Box office, gold, but we're not here to make memes. We're here to win trophies.
Exactly. Mkhitaryan.
Mistake.
Yeah.
Played his part in that Europa League run, but other than that, out.
Yeah. Ibrahimovic, success.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Not quite legend, but did his job. That first season, very, very good indeed. Yeah. 17 league goals, I think, 28 in all comps.
Yeah.
Including that magnificent winner at Wembley.
Yeah,
let's have
there
it.
In success. Victor Lindelof, another one.
I'm going to die on the hill. I think he's a success.
Do you?
Yeah.
I think he's average. Why do you think he's a success?
I think he's a bit underrated, Victor Lindelof. I think he's tied with the whole Ollie, McFred, Maguire brush. And I just think he does a good job when he plays for us. I think we overrated him before he got here. If you looked at Victor Lindelof for Benfica and for Sweden, he's a good player. He's not one of the best defenders ever. And I think he kind of does what you'd expect him to do. I think he's a good player. And I think now you're at a stage where if Varane's out and Lindelof comes in, people go, that's okay.
I think that when we bought him, it was, what was he, 21, 22?
Okay. I can
very
see where
promising,
you're going
up and coming, 30 million quid, which I know now isn't a lot, but I think at the time was equal with like Rio Ferdinand as our most expensive centre-backs ever. We bought him before Maguire, so that comparison of what we thought we were getting one of the best up-and-coming centre-backs in the league. And during the times he's been first choice for United, we've not been great. And the best...
We finished second though with him.
Yeah, but...
I do feel like I understand.
I think feel average. Like that's why I think average.
People that want to like make an excuse Maguire will say like we finished third with him, finished second. Like you can say that about Lindelof, and also
the years we finished third and second, Maguire was better than Lindelof.
All right,
I thought.
But also, and this is what I've always argued, and no one's ever agreed with me, so I know I'm on this one. The season where we went from Jose to Ole, the only player that played well for both those managers was Victor Lindelof.
Yeah.
Pogba had a magnificent spell under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I am not pretending he didn't. Ditto Nemanja Matic, ditto Ander Herrera. Earlier in the season, when the wheels were coming off, Victor Lindelof literally turned up every game when we needed someone to. And I just thought, I always felt he's a little hard done by, but I'm not going to...
I think he's good. I just think when you think success, to me, the expectation was not one of the best.
Yeah, I get the potential point. It's a good point now.
A lot of money for a young player. We wanted him to be certainly a guaranteed first choice
think as
and
well,
winning trophies, and we never really got that.
He always gets sort of looked down upon because of what Ruben Diaz did as well. I think people compare the two. So I get your argument. I just really like Victor Lindelof, but there is especially when you look at the other players we've put in success and average. I get it.
Yeah, there he is in average there. Lukaku, I would say mistake, but not a disaster. You can't score 27 goals in the season for United and be a disaster.
No, people look at that and they go 42 goals in 96 games, but his record against the top six was terrible. Didn't turn up in big games, including the FA Cup final, though I know he was injured, and also went through spells where he'd score 9 in 9 games and then not score for another 8. Just didn't work out for him. Had to move on.
Yes. Next up, Nemanja Matic, average.
Yep. Flattered to deceive a little bit. Good player. Was great at Chelsea. Not so great at Manchester United.
Alexis Sanchez, I think the disaster of all
This is one of the 3 that I said is a disaster.
I think he might be the worst signing in Man United's history.
In terms of ability, no. In terms of expectation and product, yes.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
And not just that. He's, I think, to date, the second most highly paid player in the history of United behind Ronaldo. Reported wages 400 grand plus. He was brought in by a manager who clearly knew and clearly liked him. He was considered one of the best players in the Premier League when we got him. I think the season before that, he'd had one of the best seasons he'd ever had for Arsenal. We got him in the January. And not just was he awful for United, but he's literally... ramifications of his wages are still being seen at the club. The reason why De Gea is on 375 grand a week and is he signing a new one, is he not, is because of this Sanchez deal. Yeah. It's like shaken United's transfer and contract policy for, half a decade now. It's an awful signing.
You know who you blame for this?
Woodward.
No, Matteo Darmian.
What?
Matteo Darmian, when Louis van Gaal moved him over to, was it left back, against Arsenal?
Yeah.
At the Emirates, not the Emirates, yeah.
Oh, and they
Alexis Sanchez
3-0 after 20
us
minutes.
apart. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was damning. Get me involved in the comments if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that was like, we need to get him. He's amazing.
Yeah.
And everyone thought when his former deserted him, it was because he spat his dummy out. It wasn't. It's because he was done.
Yeah. Fred, I'm going to say average.
I'll go with that.
Success is again,
stretch.
you're getting silly, and he's not been a mistake. He's been just average.
Yeah, it's just average. I'll go with that.
Dallo.
I'll go average.
Yeah, I think it would be unfair to say someone who starts every other week for United is a mistake.
I still think there's a question mark over whether he's quite the levels we need. So I don't want to put him as a success. Youth is on his side. He's got a manager that believes in him. Yeah. His attitude is fantastic. Yeah. We've met him. We've interviewed him. He's got a good reputation in terms of training and everything else he does.
Yeah.
The fact that he celebrated his goal at was it at Ellen Road? Was it where he's gone?
It was it against Fulham or Everton or something like that?
No, was it not? It was either Bournemouth or Forest. Forest. Sorry, but it was either Bournemouth or Forest, and I said Ellen Road. What am I on about? Love the fact he did like 8 celebrations, and now he's posing for pictures, still doing his celebration. Love that.
Love it.
Like the guy as a person. Is he good enough for Manchester United? I don't know. Put him in average.
Wan-Bissaka, average.
Yes, at the moment.
Yeah.
Him and Delo, we could be sat here in a year's time and they could have kicked on to success or gone back down to mistake.
For me, he's had one very good year, half a really, really awful year.
Yeah.
Half a decent year, and another half a decent year.
I think he's coming into his own, Wan-Bissaka. You know, little things like, see the interview that he did with Maka?
Yeah.
Like, he seems a little bit more relaxed, just seems to be enjoying himself a little bit more. Obviously an immensely talented lad. I think the best is yet to come.
Harry Maguire.
Mistake. Mistake, bro.
Too expensive. You can't,
he was doomed. The moment we signed him, he was doomed. Yeah. Because we paid 80 million for a £40 million player.
Yeah.
Just not his fault.
No.
To a certain degree, but you talk about ramifications.
Yeah.
We're still feeling ramifications of that because it's talk that he don't want to go to West Ham or whatever.
Yeah.
And was going to have to keep him around, which is had a knock-on effect. Yeah. So just nowhere near the levels we thought he was.
For me, though, I will say, I think he's on the upper end of mistake.
Okay.
I think if Lindelof's average, the only reason I think he's much higher, if any higher, than Maguire is because he cost a third of the amount.
That's true. And also,
you know,
even more recently, I feel like Lindelof's got gas in the tank at United.
Yeah, but Lindelof suits more of a high line.
Yeah.
But I think when we sat back a bit more under Solskjaer, counter-attacked, I think Maguire had a better season or two than Lindelof did.
I do.
But overall,
I get that.
Mistake, yeah.
And also, you've seen it. The kid comes on, or he comes on as a sub,
toxic,
and the fans are like not booing him, but everyone's like, "Oh God," groans and all that. He's got to go.
Dan James, I think mistake.
I do. I hate all this. Oh, great bit of business and all the rest of it. Leeds offered 4 million for him. We paid 12. 6 months later, did all right. Great games at the Etihad, but we don't just count the games at the Etihad. I know I've been quite complimentary about big games, but he did okay. But mistake.
Yeah, Bruno Fernandes,
mate. Success.
I think success with legendary tendencies, to be honest.
I think
if he has another 3 or 4 years like he's had, for me he'll be a legend. If somehow, hopefully, before he leaves United, he can win a Premier League, I think he could sneak into that legend category. But at the minute, it's just definite success. Best signing since Fergie left, easily.
I 100% agree with you. Yeah, and I think I would. Do you know what? I think he could. I think Bruno could do a madness before he leaves United.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think he could win everything. Not at once.
No. Amad Diallo.
Jury's out. I'm not going to say mistake. Average. I don't like throwing kids under the bus, literally. Yeah. But
literally?
I literally don't like throwing children under buses.
Oh, right, yeah, good. Thank God. Igalo.
Like
mistake.
We're a football club. We're not social media influencers.
Not like
he was a lovely man in his United pyjamas.
Yeah.
But he wasn't ever good enough.
No. Teller's mistake.
Yes.
Cavani.
Mate,
average.
It
looked like a mistake toward the end.
Yeah, I'd probably go mistake, mate. I know everyone loved him because he's handsome and his chance and all that.
Yeah.
But the guy just bottled it.
He did, but he had a good season and he was on a free. I think I'm gonna have to overrule you and go.
Okay, I'll let you have the final say. It's all right. No, it's all right.
Facundo Pellistri.
Again, Joey's out average. I'm not gonna, go either way on that one.
Donny van der Beek. Mistake.
Yeah. Borderline disaster.
Yeah, it is borderline disaster.
Because what's he done?
Should we put him in disaster?
Yeah. What has he done?
Yeah.
Tell me what he's done. Get involved in the comments in the chat, or you, Donny van der Beek FC lot, and tell me how the £35 million we spent on a player that's played 34 Premier League games for Manchester United was worth it.
No,
because I don't see it.
It's been a disaster. Ronaldo, I think mistake.
The only reason I'm tempted to not go mistake is because I still think if we don't get him, he goes to City and wins the Champions League with them, which would have been horrible to see. But they've already done it now anyway.
And also, that, no offence, Jay, that's not real.
It's not.
Do you know what I mean?
No.
It's possible, and your logic is sound, but that didn't happen.
No.
And that's not the alternative here.
Go on then, mistake.
I think
and also the way he left was horrible.
It's tainted him a bit for some or a lot of United fans. I think for everyone, it's made some dent in his United legacy, hasn't it?
It has for me.
Leaving, how could it not? Obviously, he's still a borderline. See, weirdly, we're not rating Ronaldo as a whole.
Listen, I don't want people going.
He's a legend.
People screenshotting this and going, they've put Ronaldo in mistake and they've put Bruno or whatever in success. This is about 2021 Ronaldo.
The transfer of Ronaldo to Man United.
Not 2008 Ballon d'Or winning. And just one thing in Ronaldo's defence. We know he went through a tragedy and he carried on playing, he carried on scoring goals. So it wasn't a disaster at United. He was top scorer this season. And this is the full season that we had for him back for. So I do respect him in that aspect. But the way he left and just the overall sort of thing that went on with him, it wasn't, he didn't live up to what we hoped.
No. For me, to be clear, Ronaldo is a Man United legend.
Okay.
But the transfer of Ronaldo in 2020 was a mistake.
Yeah.
Jadon Sancho. Average mistake?
Bro, come on, man.
He's done less in his first 2 years at United than Maguire did.
Mistake.
Yeah.
Seriously. I like the kid.
Tough on that, innit?
We've got, if we're serious, I know we don't pick the team and we're not in charge of anything, how are we catching City? Are we catching City by just letting people come in for 70-odd million, have 2 seasons off? And I don't mean the break that he had, by the way, which is fine. I mean, his performances have been nowhere near the levels we saw at Dortmund.
No.
They haven't.
No.
I'm sorry, but if you think that signing him for 72 million was a good signing, I've got some magic beans to sell you. I hope he turns it around. I've stuck up for the kid ever since he arrived. I would love him to turn it around, but I think his signing has been a mistake.
Yeah. But again, still time to turn that around. Varane, success.
Yeah.
Standard, innit? Martinez, success.
Yeah.
Can't be
he's almost a legendary status, that kid. I'm telling you.
He's so good, isn't he?
Honestly.
Again, Casemiro, success. You can't say he's not a success, Jay. Don't be ridiculous. I know you've kind of stumbled across this little theory that you've got that he didn't finish the season very well. You can't say he's been average. He's been a success. Come on.
Only just, though. Only just. No, because let me explain, because I'll get pelters.
Yeah, I know.
You can't miss 9 games through suspension or whatever it was.
But just pretend it was injury.
In 30 games. And also, take 4 games to get back into your groove when you're coming back and be a complete success. He wasn't. And also, he's the kind of guy that I look at in games like the FA Cup final and go, you're the one I'm relying on. And he weren't there. So, he is a success, but only just.
Okay. Anthony, average for me.
Yeah, he's not a mistake, but I mean, I know there's other things going on, but at the moment he's average.
On the pitch so far, yeah. Christian Eriksen? Success.
I'd say success. Free transfer.
Yeah.
Form towards the end of the season wasn't great.
Not on a load of money.
No.
But he's made our midfield better. He's made our midfield
He shone very, very brightly for those first 6 months.
He did. Malacia, average?
I feel like there's a touch of... because of what he cost and everything, it's like almost success, but I'll go average.
Yeah.
Just because of the cost and what he's provided for that cost.
Yeah.
It's good. But again, let's not start putting players that aren't even first-team players in success when others are missing out.
Well, on that, they've got 2 players left. Sabitzer.
Mistake.
Do you think it was a mistake?
Yes.
I think average.
We didn't get another midfielder because we got him.
Yeah.
And he was almost useless to us. He did, a few bits, but then it's not his fault. He got injured.
Weghorst.
I'm not going to go disaster for
See,
Spurs.
the thing with disaster is he has become, again, a figure of ridicule for United, hasn't he?
Yeah.
But he got an assist in the final of the trophy we won this season. Yeah. And it's not his fault. He's not good enough.
I know. I'll be honest.
Can't blame him for it.
I feel that mistake. I do.
Yeah.
And it's not his fault. It's not the manager's fault. It's the owner's fault that we didn't have any money. We should have gone out, and bought. And it's like Chelsea paid 20 million to get João Felix in. Arsenal got Trossard in. Teams that were going for things or needed to get themselves out of jail went and bought players. Newcastle spent 40 odd million. Bournemouth spent 30 odd million. Leeds spent 50 million in that January transfer window. We spent nout and we got free transfers or loan signings in. Wasn't good enough. Not his fault, but a mistake.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you put him in the same category as Igalo, really, don't you?
Yeah.
Similar.
Like him, like his energy and his effort.
There he goes, the last one.
I mean, it summed it up, that last game of the season at Old Trafford, where he gets a sitter right to death and he puts it wide. That just summed it up.
Yeah, it does. So there you go. Only 4 legends that we've signed since the Glazers came in. Van der Sar, Evra, Vidic and Carrick. Well, how many disasters?
3 of them weren't 3 of them in the first window.
Yeah, I think so. We've got Obertan, Bebe, Butner, Zaha, Di Maria, Falcao, Schneiderlin, Alexis Sanchez and Donny van der Beek as a disaster. I feel harsh putting a current squad player in disaster, but he's just not done anything, has it?
You could be a disaster, right? Because of things that are out of your control. Yeah. If he doesn't pick that injury up against Bournemouth, we'd probably put him in mistake or average. Yeah. But he did. And like you said when I was going on about the Ronaldo thing, that's not the reality.
No.
The reality is Donny van der Beek has done next to nothing in a Manchester United shirt.
He's been loaned out and, he's...
Missed half the games at Goodison, didn't he, because he was injured?
Yeah. And he's not brought in as a kid who needs to get loaned out to get a few, minutes under his belt like Diallo. He's brought in as someone in their early to mid-20s who should be starting for United if he's ever going to. So,
do you remember the social media thing where it was like, Donny van der Beek's better than Bruno and all that? Like, shut up, man.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Right, there we have it. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Have we got some wrong? I'm sure we've got some wrong. Who do you think was a success that we said was average? I wonder if people are saying that Ronaldo's still a legend. That signing wasn't legendary.
It's this signing, man. Yeah. Focus on the way we're doing this, because don't want anyone getting it misconstrued.
And the worst thing of all is, the more recent you get, the higher the frequency of averages and mistakes. The older Sir Alex ones, all of the legends are from the Sir Alex era.
There's a correlation between Ed Woodward arriving at the club and being able to make decisions and everything going Pete Tong.
There absolutely is. None of the disasters, except Butner and Bebe and Obertan, which is actually quite a lot. But they weren't brought in to be first-team players. No. A lot of the disasters post then, Di Maria, Falcao, Schneiderlin, Alexis and Van der Beek were all brought in to start for Man United, and they were disastrous. Unbelievable. Right, that's going to be all from us. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell as well, so whenever we go live, which we do all the time throughout the transfer window, you will see it first. Thank you, Jay, for joining me.
I really enjoyed that, bro.
Thank you for joining us at home. We'll see you in a bit.